Bella is planning a workshop for hairdressers. She needs a model with natural hair color. Bella gets messages from 3 candidates, Kelly, Shelly, and Sally. She looks through their social media and finds out that only one of these ladies didn't lie. Can you guess who has natural hair color? Kelly has gray roots, so she dyes her hair. Shelly has yellow blonde hair. It looks pretty natural, but it proves nothing. Meanwhile, Sally has red hair, and she has family pictures that show that her parents and siblings have the same hair color. So, Bella should choose Sally. The next day, Bella goes hiking with her friends, Jeff and Kim. They're hanging out on a high rock. Can you spot who's in danger? Bella is blindfolded and she's approaching a cliff break. Jeff is digging with a shovel, but there are electrical wires underneath. And Kim is just trying to feed a squirrel, but everyone is in danger. Bella can fall down, Jeff can get electrocuted, and the squirrel can bite Kim. Bella enters a cave to take some pictures, but suddenly an earthquake occurs. The exit is now blocked with stones. Bella looks around and finds 3 passages leading outside. There's a hungry wolf inside the first tunnel. The second passage is filled with toxic mushrooms. Just one bite can be fatal for any human. And inside the third tunnel, there's a water-filled tank with a shark. Which way is more or less safe? Bella should choose the second passage. The mushrooms are only dangerous when eaten. No one is forcing Bella to eat them. Bella is walking back home and sees a lonely dog on a playground. One of these guys is its owner. Can you guess who? The dog belongs to the second guy. He's skimming a newspaper to be able to look after his dog. Also, he's holding a collar that matches the dog's size. Meanwhile, another man is scrolling his feed on the phone and pays no attention at all. Bella arrives at work. She's been trying to open the door leading to her office, but it's locked. Someone changed the 4-number combination. Can you help her crack the passcode? There's the word hide written next to the door. If we replace each letter with its serial number in the alphabet, we'll get the code 8945. Bella opens the beauty salon, looks around, and spots 3 weird things about this place. Can you see them too? The mirror doesn't reflect reality. There's a spoon in this box of combs, and this unplugged hairdryer is working. Bella hears weird sounds from the street. She looks out the window and sees 2 women and 1 man arguing. One of the ladies is his wife. Can you guess who? The man and the lady in a yellow shirt have matching rings. Therefore, she's his wife. 3 clients arrive at the beauty salon and ask for old-fashioned hairstyles. Bella takes a look at them and spots a ghost right away. What about you? The first lady is dressed up as a ghost, but she's wearing jeans underneath her costume, so she's probably an actress. The third lady looks like an ordinary person with conservative tastes. But take a closer look at the second lady's feet. They don't touch the floor, so she's the ghost. Bella goes to the nearest store to buy some food for lunch. She sees 3 women in a line. Only one of them is a mother. Can you guess who? The first woman has a cart full of goods including diapers, but the size is big, so they're for elderly people. The third lady is buying fireworks, soda, and red cups. But it proves nothing. She's probably just going to throw a party. Meanwhile, the second lady has a stain on her dress and she looks pretty sleepy, so she's a mother. Bella moves on to the next store. There's a line with 3 customers, and one of them is a thief. Can you guess who? The third guy is wearing an oversized sweater, but he's innocent. Meanwhile, the second guy in a hoodie hid the stolen goods in his hood. The next morning, Bella wakes up in an abandoned house. A creepy voice says,
"I'll set you free if you guess the password correctly."
"Can you help her escape?" Take a look at the letters on the wall. We can rearrange them into a dream house. Bella is meeting her best friend Kyle in a restaurant. He's about to introduce her to his future wife, Nellie. But Nellie has a twin sister, Kelly, who's also attending the dinner. Can you help Bella figure out which lady is Kyle's fiancée, Nellie? The twins look exactly the same, but Nellie has a heart-shaped necklace. Bella is watching the videos of her favorite travel bloggers. One of these guys is a millionaire, while the other one is broke. Can you guess who is who? The first guy is broke. He photoshopped himself into this picture on the beach. The palm trees have shadows directed to the left. Meanwhile, his own shadow is directed to the right. Why would a millionaire fake his vacation? Today, Bella's beauty salon celebrates its 5th birthday. She invited a lot of friends, including her boyfriend, Tim. Before the event, she calls Bella, saying, "I'm at work, but I promise to be at the party at 9 o'clock." Tim comes over in 9 hours and 3 minutes. He brings pretty flowers and chocolates. But Bella bursts into tears because she's very mad. Why? Bella was expecting her boyfriend to arrive at 9 p.m., but he came at 9 a.m. the next morning. 2 ladies show up at Bella's beauty salon. One of them is super rich. Can you guess who? The second lady is a bag designer. The first lady is wearing her brand. So, the second one must be really rich. Bella is attending Kyle's wedding. All of his friends show up looking rich and fabulous. Mike has a bunch of expensive gadgets. Chuck is wearing a brandy suit. And Lily is driving an exclusive sports car. But only one of them is really rich. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at Chuck's suit. He didn't remove the price tag, so he's probably planning on returning it after the wedding. This fancy sports car doesn't belong to Lily. It's rented. Therefore, Mike is the richest person here. There are too many guests at the wedding for such a small cake. But Bella manages to grab a slice. She puts a plate with her cake on a table and leaves for 5 minutes to wash her hands. Then she comes back and sees an empty plate. Bella questions 3 guests. Alice says, "I've been dancing non-stop for the last 2 hours. I didn't eat anything." Chuck says, "It wasn't me who ate the cake. I'm on a sugar-free diet. But I guess it was Alice. I don't trust her." Lily says, "I didn't touch your cake. I was helping the bride braid her hair." Who's lying? Take a closer look at the bride's hairstyle. She doesn't have any braids. Therefore, Lily's story is fake. The wedding is going well, but at some point the bride notices that her diamond ring is missing. The robber manages to escape from the wedding, and he's hiding nearby. Can you spot him? He's over here. The next morning, Bella arrives at her beauty salon. Oh no! Someone stained the walls with paint. Bella finds 3 suspects and questions them. Molly replies, I spent the last 3 days in another state at my parents' house. You can ask them if you don't believe me. Kelly says, yesterday I stayed here after closing to dye my hair. Sheila was helping me with my black roots. But then we left. And Sheila says, yesterday I was feeling sick and left earlier. The walls were fine. Who's lying? Kelly. She said she dyed her black roots, but they're still there.
The town's modern art museum has just been robbed. A priceless painting from top-notch artist Floyd B. has gone missing overnight. The museum's manager called Detective Pressfield to help. As soon as he arrived at the museum, he asked to see the security footage of the previous night. He identified 3 suspicious individuals staring at the painting for longer than usual. The first person, wearing a blue jacket, entered through the museum's front entrance. The security camera caught her staring at the painting from several angles, like she was measuring it. The second person, wearing a red hat, left the museum through the side exit, which is pretty suspicious. And the last person, who was wearing a black face mask, spent a long time looking at the museum's ceiling, trying to identify where the security cameras were located. Take a look at the footage. Can you guess who's the most likely thief? It's the last person. I mean, he was wearing a mask and spent hours trying to identify the security cameras. After that, there was no footage anymore. So that probably means he was successful at leaving the museum with the priceless painting. Samantha and Joanna were stuck at Blue Ridge's airport security line. A security guard found both of them suspicious and asked them to wait while he analyzed the X-ray footage. Take a look at both women. Who do you think is really hiding something? Well, Samantha has a suspicious face, but she probably just wants to go to the bathroom or something. Now, Joanna is definitely hiding something under her skirt. If she had really been pregnant, she would have used the preferential line. And look how much she's sweating. She's probably nervous she'll get caught. Detective Sharon's office was called to investigate a series of mysterious break-ins happening in a fancy neighborhood. At each crime scene, the robber would leave the word "closer" sprayed in graffiti on a nearby wall. The first place to be robbed was Mrs. Moore's cafe. Then the criminal's next target was the town's library. After a week, the thief had left his mark in a fancy office building, a supermarket, and a restaurant. It took Detective Sharon a while, but she soon understood there was a pattern to the break-ins. And she was even able to predict what the next break-in would be. Can you figure out what it was? The thief was pretty clever for sure. The first letter of each of the locations the thief entered spelled out the word "closer." Since the last location to be robbed was a restaurant, the next place would start with C, restarting the cycle. Most likely, the neighborhood's community center. In the East Valley, there's a beautiful old kingdom known as Piatra. One of the town's most precious symbols is a valuable jewel that is always displayed during the city's festivities. This year, during the last celebration, something tragic happened. The town's jewel went missing. The king was devastated and mad that such an ancient artifact had been stolen. He soon called the kingdom's official investigator to help figure out who had possibly stolen the jewel. The culprit would have to be proclaimed responsible for their theft in front of the entire kingdom. There were many people at the festivity, but the investigator narrowed the suspects down to 4 people. Amelia said she saw something strange after the bard's presentation. She saw that Benjamin had picked up the jewel and handed it to Carol. But Ben said he didn't go anywhere near the jewel because he had been working on one of the stalls during the fair. Carol said she did go near the jewel, but she had only admired it from up close. And Daniel said that he could swear seeing Carol carrying the jewel, but he didn't see her take it. Based on the testimonies, the investigator had no trouble figuring out who the culprit was. Can you figure it out as well? It was Carol. Almost everyone thought she was involved in the crime. And plus, if you zoom in on her bag, you'll see something pointing. Sure looks like a jewel, doesn't it? The town's only DVD rental shop suffered a robbery last night. The store's owner called the police station to report the crime. The detective almost couldn't believe what he was hearing. After all, why would someone steal a DVD when there are so many streaming channels nowadays? The detective asked to see the footage from the security camera and identified 3 main suspects. Sarah was a middle-aged woman. She said she still owned a DVD player and preferred to watch movies the old way, so she regularly rented from the store. Alex was a recently retired movie director, and one of his favorite pastimes was going to the store. He said he hadn't noticed anything strange the day before, except for a random teenager that walked inside. David was in his teens, and he spent hours in the shop by himself. He said he was doing research for school, but swears he didn't take anything. Can you tell who did it? It was David. The security footage caught him in the R-rated section of the store. He must have stolen the DVD, thinking the store owner wouldn't sell it to him. There's an old museum that only displays ancient Egyptian artifacts. One day, Susan, an anthropology student, went to the museum in order to study some of the art on display. She went into a room full of things, such as necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. She photographed every detail she thought was important for her research, when something caught her eye. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what it was? Look at those earrings. They look completely fake. Plus, they have a tiny price tag attached to them. The original earrings were definitely missing. Susan reported the crime to the museum's manager. The manager immediately informed the museum security and opened an investigation. Susan was on the initial suspect list, but after checking the museum's security footage, she was let go. Museum security identified 3 main suspects: one of the museum's guards, one of the students from the museum's archaeology school, and a visitor. The visitor said he had only popped in for a quick visit. He said he had seen the earrings, but they looked pretty original to him. The security guard said he hadn't seen anything strange going the last few days. Everything was as it should be. And the students said they had studied the earring in a class, but they never got the chance to see it before it was stolen. Soon enough, museum security found the culprit. Can you tell who it was? It was the visitor. When security went to investigate the suspects, they never mentioned that the original earring had been exchanged by fake ones. The fact that he knew there was an original version means that he was the one that swapped them. Yikes. Maya was working on her latest artwork, which was commissioned by a high-end gallery in town. Suddenly, all the lights in her studio went out, and since it was nighttime, she was left completely in the dark. She heard footsteps approaching the studio door, and the next thing she knew, she was feeling dizzy. Maya passed out and woke up in a tiny room that had nothing other than a metallic door. She tried to open the door, but it was locked. That's when she noticed that beside the door, there was a little device where a red sign appeared asking for a password. Below the device, there was a piece of paper with the following hint: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It took a while for her to understand what this meant. She read the note aloud several times before she finally figured out what the password was. Can you guess what password she typed into the device? Here's how it works. Maya had to type 1 time the number 2, 3 times the number 4, 5 times the number 6, and 7 times the number 8. Reading it aloud was the key to solve this problem. Whew!
In Middleton High School, a teacher decided to play a game with students. She wrote a riddle on the board, and the first student that got the answer correctly would win a big prize. The riddle she wrote went like this: I am clean when I'm empty, and I'm dirty when I'm full. What am I? Barbara immediately knew the answer to this one and won the prize.
Yeah.
Can you guess what she answered? It's a chalkboard! The answer was right in front of her all along. Gabriel is an experienced trekker. He went for a 3-day trek in the beautiful forests of Spain when he was captured by a mythical creature. The creature took him to a hidden realm and took away his backpack and all his belongings. After he took everything he needed, he left Gabriel in a dark cave all by himself. To leave the cave, Gabriel was supposed to choose one of 3 tunnels. The first tunnel had thousands of pointy crystals that could hurt him if he stepped on them. The second tunnel was filled with shadowy creatures that were eager for some of Gabriel's vitality. And the last tunnel had the belongings of an ancient wizard, his cape and some of his potions lying around. Which tunnel should he choose? I'd say the last one, right? Since it only has the wizard's belongings, the wizard himself is nowhere to be seen. Oh no! The third tunnel was a trap after all. It took Gabriel to the wizard's tower. When he walked into the tower's only room, he got locked inside it. And to make things worse, when he looked down, he saw that the tower was on fire. The room had no doors, and only a small window. Thankfully, he found there were 3 magic potions that could help him escape. Yes! The first potion had the power of giving him incredible physical strength. With the second potion, he could summon any animal he wanted to help him. And the last potion would turn into a vampire. Which potion should Gabriel choose? Well, no animal could help him escape the tower, and even if he had all the strength in the world, he wouldn't be able to beat the fire. But if he turned into a vampire, then he could transition into a bat and fly away through the little window. So the third bottle it is. Maya was exploring the realms when she opened a door that took her to Rainbowland. This world was filled with flying unicorns and colorful fairies. But they were mischievous creatures that liked playing pranks with outsiders. So, they held Maya hostage until she could figure out the answer to their riddle. They asked her, I'm a color you can eat. What am I? Can you help Maya figure out the answer to this riddle? It's an orange! Way to go, Maya! But the fairy people were in the mood for playing more games, so they continued with their riddles. They asked Maya, I make 2 people out of 1. What am I? Maya had to think for a while to answer this one, but she got it correctly. Yes! What did she answer? It's a mirror! Taylor was walking through the streets of New York City when she tripped over something, fell down, and hurt her head. When she woke up, she was at the hospital with doctors asking her a bunch of questions to see if she was all right. The funny doctor, who is known for his riddles, asked her, "What has a head, a tail, is brown, and has no legs? Can you help Taylor out here?" It's a penny. You can see how this riddle is misleading, but hey, you got it right. 3 people decided to spend their vacations in Antarctica. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the penguins for his social media page, and Helena got to do some fishing while she was there. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take a penguin with them in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Let's see what we have here. Well, is that a penguin's feet poking out of Helena's backpack? It sure is. Guess she did more than just fishing during her vacation. Kailani was swimming in a dark underwater cave when she found a gold lamp. She rubbed the lamp, and a powerful merman came out of it. The merman told her he would grant her heart's truest wish and asked her what it would be. The young mermaid was confused about what to wish for, so she went to ask her family what they wanted most. Her father said he wanted to be king. Her mother said she wanted to have a pet shark, and her brother said he wanted to marry the love of his life. The powerful merman granted Kalani one wish, but all of her family members got what they wanted. Can you guess what Kalani wished for? Kailani wished that her father, the king, attended her brother's wedding to the love of his life, and that her mother's pet shark be the one that carried the rings down the aisle. Smart girl. Yes! Bob was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the messages. 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the pill from the first envelope. 2. Take the pill from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bob take? He should trust the pill from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Yes! Nova wanted to be part of the Binary Bandits. They were an elite cybersecurity group that protected the internet world from hackers. She sent several emails to the group's members, but she was completely ignored. Until one day, she got an encrypted message with a mysterious riddle. It said that if she could answer this riddle, she would be interviewed by a member of the bandits and get a chance to be part of the group. The message said, "Invisible I am, but through circuits I flow. Harness my power and watch your knowledge grow. A key to the future, a virtual seed. Decipher my code and all secrets you'll heed. What am I?" Nova's answer was a 4-letter word, and she got it right. Can you guess what she answered? She answered, "Data." That seemed obvious, huh?
There are 3 labeled wooden baskets. On one of them it's written lemons, another one says pineapples, and the remaining one claims that it has both lemons and pineapples. All the labels are placed incorrectly. You reach into one basket and pull out one fruit. Will you be able to correct all the labels after doing it? Yes. Since the baskets are mislabeled, you know for sure that in the lemons and pineapples basket, you'll find just one type of fruit. So you opt to pick a fruit from that basket. If it's a lemon, this is the lemon basket. And since the pineapple basket is also mislabeled, it must contain lemons and pineapples. Then the remaining basket contains pineapples. The same logic applies if you pull a pineapple out of the lemons and pineapples basket. Can you find a mistake in this picture? Be very attentive. The dog is leaving paw prints of only 2 paws. How about this picture? What's wrong here? This guy's using the wrong tool. To cut this tree, he should be using an axe. Have a look at these girls. They all look perfectly normal, but one of them has recently robbed a bank. Can you figure out which one it is? Pay attention to even the tiniest details. It's the girl on the left. Look, she has lots of different passports on the bed behind her back. She's probably going to escape the country using a fake ID. Look at these nurses and try to figure out which one is fake. The first 2 nurses seem to have the correct pictures on their name tags. But the third nurse has the same picture as the second one, and she doesn't look like the person in the photo, so she is the imposter. Now, put your detective hat on and say which of these men stole the phones. The first 2 men have the phones they're selling on display. They don't hide them. And they also look very confident and proud of their business. The man on the right, though, is hiding the phones behind his basket. He also looks nervous. Look at these men carefully. Who is the baby's father? Based on the baby's hair color and his beauty mark, the man in the middle is most likely his father. Your next task is to figure out which of these people stole the petrol. The woman in the middle is the culprit.
Oh no!
Can you see petrol stains on her clothes? Look at this picture intently and try to figure out which dish could have caused food poisoning. Most probably, it was the combination of the drink and the burger. It doesn't look as if the guy even touched the pizza or the fries. James came to visit his friend Ethan. The guys were watching TV and eating pizza when James' phone rang. It was a sales assistant from his store who claimed there was a problem with one of their customers. James had to leave for a while. Soon after his departure, Ethan felt unwell and lost consciousness. When James returned, he saw that Ethan was lying on the floor and the apartment was in a mess. Ethan luckily came to his senses before the police arrived. He told the officer that the robbers had stolen all his money and electronics. The only question the detective asked him was if Ethan touched anything on the table after James had left. When he heard the negative answer, he immediately arrested James. Can you figure out why? There are ice cubes in the glasses on the table. If those were the same drinks the friends had been drinking before James left, the ice would have melted long ago. It means that James put something in Ethan's glass to knock him out, took all the money and valuables, and replaced the drinks with fresh ones before the police arrived. Luke had an older brother who was always teasing him, mentioning their age gap. When Luke finally went to school, he hoped that his brother wouldn't call him little anymore. But when the boy returned home after his first day of school, his brother started again. Primary school is for babies. Everything you learn is so easy. Then Luke decided to teach his brother a lesson. Okay, then how about you solve a riddle our teacher gave us today? Luke's brother agreed without hesitation. If you take away half of this number, you'll get nothing. What is this number? Even after thinking for a while, Luke's brother didn't manage to solve the riddle. Can you? This number is 8. Take away its top part and you'll get 0. Littlefield was a tiny village where people didn't even get fines for illegal parking. But one day, something terrible happened in this quiet place. Mr. Richardson, a rich farmer, arrived at the police station saying that 2 of his best cows were missing. There were 3 suspects, and each of them had to answer just one question. Have you taken your neighbor's animals? Mr. Anderson said that he had nothing to do with it because he and Mr. Richardson had a common business, and he wouldn't risk their cooperation. Mrs. Martinez stated that she had been living in this village since birth, and she wouldn't spoil her reputation because of some animals. And Mr. Jones explained that since his family had been breeding pigs for centuries, he didn't have any reasons to steal cows. The police officer managed to figure out who the criminal was. Have you realized it too? The thief is Mr. Jones. How did he know it was cows that were stolen? Nobody had told him what species it was. Detective Scratch was called to investigate a case. A rich lady had disappeared right from her home and no one could find her. The detective had a list of suspects with the following names: Rooney, Messi, David, Chris, and Amanda. But apparently, the criminal was a fan of Detective Scratch, so they decided to attract his attention by leaving notes in different locations. Note number 1 was in the drawing room. The second note was in the art room. Note number 3 was in the vault. The fourth note was in the ice cream room. Yes, that lady was that rich. And note number 5 was in the dining room. All the notes had the same message. The clues you're looking for are where you find the notes. Detective Scratch didn't need much time to figure out what it all meant. How fast can you do the same? The person behind the disappearance of the rich lady was David. You just need to take the first letters of the rooms where the notes were found. D-A-V-I-D. A precious gold figurine disappeared from Mr. Brown's mansion. He invited a private detective, since he suspected one of his relatives was the thief. Each of the suspects gave one statement, but only 3 of these statements were correct. Can you figure out who the thief is if the statements are the following? Uncle Jack. Uncle Jim stole the figurine. Aunt Mary. I didn't do it. Cousin Stuart. It wasn't Cousin Margaret. Uncle Jim. Uncle Jack is lying when he says I did it. Cousin Margaret. Aunt Mary is telling the truth. Cousin Mary is the thief.
Oh no!
And the statements of Aunt Mary, Uncle Jim, and Cousin Margaret are true. Eric was locked in a room with 19 other people. Each of them could see the entire room and all the people inside without turning their heads or bodies or moving in any other way. To get out of the room, Eric had to place an apple in such a way that everyone but one person could see it. The guy managed to do it. Can you figure out how he did it? He put the apple on someone's head. Clever. Can you spot the odd emoji in this image? Yep, it's this unfriendly-looking one. It's not smiling like the others. Do you have an eagle eye? Let's check it out. Look at these pictures and try to figure out what's wrong here.
Yeah.
Looks like a pretty usual scene to me, but something seems to be off. Can you understand what it is? The bus doesn't have any side mirrors or windshield wipers. How about this picture? What's wrong here? See that man in a yellowish shirt? It seems that he's holding his umbrella over his head. But in reality, the umbrella is floating in the air. The man isn't touching it. Oh, that's nice. Seaside and palm trees. But a few things are definitely off in this image. How many can you find? First of all, what is that tap that is pouring water into the sea? Then, that girl on the left is definitely dressed too warmly for the seaside. Instead of flowers, this young lady is holding some broccoli. And this girl is building a sandcastle with the help of a fork. Okay, the next image for you. Are there any mistakes here? Have you noticed that this electric cord is ripped? It's very, very dangerous and may cause a fire. These people seem to be having a blast at the pool, but not all of them are doing it correctly. Who's made mistakes here? This guy on the left has forgotten to take off his boots before diving into the pool. That young lady has brought along an iron. No one cares about this duck with its ducklings enjoying a swim. And that lifeguard is playing the sax instead of watching people. If you noticed all those mistakes, great job. The next image is for you. What's wrong here? Have you spotted that colorful snake slithering next to the wall? What is it doing here? As far as I know, Santa Claus isn't supposed to be in the classroom as well. Then, that girl is using a carrot instead of a pen. And the guy in the bottom right corner is brushing his teeth, right in the classroom. Here we see people walking in the park on a lovely sunny morning. But not all of them are doing reasonable things. Can you find out what's wrong with this picture? Is that a tiger? I'm not sure you're allowed to bring these animals to parks. Instead of a kite, this girl is playing with a bathtub. This elderly lady is eating a blue apple, and there are two suns in the sky. Ah, it explains everything. It must be happening not on Earth. Look at this picture. Where is the bank robber hiding? He's over there, behind the bushes. The bank robber has managed to escape from the police. Try to figure out where he's hiding now. See that maintenance hole? That's where the criminal is. This robber is just too fast. He's escaped again and is now hiding in one of these fitting rooms. Help the police find him. He must be in the middle fitting room. See that bag with all the cash he has stolen? Look at this image carefully and try to figure out what's wrong here. In reality, the guy's holding a tube of toothpaste in his left hand, but in the reflection in the mirror, he's got nothing in his hand. How about this picture? What's wrong here? Is this lady charging her cat? This picture looks off too, but what exactly seems strange? It's the girl in the front. She isn't reflected in the water. Now, the next image to challenge your observation skills. Does anything strike you as odd in this picture? Look at the TVs. They show different things in reality and in the reflection in the mirror. Now, let's wind down a bit. Don't take this next riddle seriously, okay? What do you call a fish that wears a bow tie? You call it sophisticated. Got it? Another one for you. What time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? Duh, it's definitely time to fix the fence. What kind of band never plays music? Rubber band, of course. Tear me off and scratch my head. What once was red is now black. What am I? I'm a match. And now, a bit of math. How can you move one number to make this equation true? Move the number 2 half a line up, and you'll get this. Now, you're in a library, trying to get a book, you knock a chair over. All of a sudden, there are 22 pairs of eyes looking at you. How many people are there in the library? There are 12 people. 22 eyes most likely belong to 11 people, plus you, 12 altogether. Look at these hands. Which one doesn't belong here? it's the hand in the fourth picture. It's the only one which is left. Mark needed to get some documents from his colleague's safe. If he didn't, he'd get fired the next day. But it turned out to be a tricky task. The safe had a password, and Eric had no idea how to crack it. It was a combination of letters, OTTFFSS, and the last three letters are missing. Can you figure out what they are? The missing letters are ENT. All of them are the first letters of the numbers from 1 to 10. Ms. Nelson, an art teacher at school, had to organize an event, and a big concert was a part of it. But the event had to take place the next day, and she still needed to find one more performer. There were several talented students at her school, and she decided to invite them. But Daniel, who played the guitar very well, told his teacher that he had lent his instrument to a friend and wouldn't get it back anytime soon. Sophia, who was an amazing singer, answered the teacher that she had a sore throat and couldn't sing at all. And Luna, who was a professional dancer, claimed that just a few days before she had sprained her ankle, and the doctor had prohibited her from moving this leg too much. Ms. Nelson was very upset, but could do nothing to change the situation. But when she saw these three students at the concert the next day, she found out that one of them had lied to her. Who was it, and how did she understand? Luna had lied to her teacher. If she had sprained her ankle, she wouldn't be able to wear high heels. Three college friends met after a summer break. Each of them wanted to boast about how cool their vacation was. Lily described how she and her boyfriend had gone to Paris and seen the city from the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yay!
Dylan told his friends that he had traveled to Africa with his parents. But on their last day, there was a massive volcanic eruption, and it didn't spoil their rest only because they flew back home that day. And Ellie said that she had visited her uncle in Texas and learned to ride a horse. She even participated in some competitions. Of course, all the stories were great, but one of them was fake. Which one was it? Dylan's story was fake. He couldn't fly home on the day of the eruption because when something like this happens, all flights get canceled. A man called the police. "My wife, she got in a car accident." When the police arrived, the woman had already been rushed to a hospital. The detectives found out that she had crashed into a tree right next to her house. One of the police officers examined her car and saw the woman's bag. Inside, he found her driving license and a car key, some money and bank cards, a notebook, and her passport. After that, the husband was immediately arrested. Why? How could the woman's car key be in her bag if she had been the one driving?
Yeah.
Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his gas tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. You have a sock drawer. It has 4 black socks, 8 brown socks, 2 white socks, and 8 tan socks. You need to pull out a matching pair of socks in the dark. There is no light and you can't see the socks. Well, that'll teach you to pay your electric bill on time. Meanwhile, how many socks do you need to pull out in the dark to get one matching pair of socks? Five. You only have 4 different color of socks. If you pick 5 socks, you will definitely get one pair of matching socks. A fairy had an assistant, Dwarf Martin. Once, the fairy asked Martin to visit a powerful wizard and pick up 3 potions she had ordered. The dwarf received the parcel, but on his way back, he got into a real trap. In front of him, there were 3 doors, and he couldn't get past them. He had to go through one of them. But behind the first one, there was a bottomless abyss. Behind the second door, there were venomous spiders. Even their webs were poisonous. And the third door was hiding a raging fire. Martin couldn't choose the door, but he came up with an idea. He decided to use one of the potions the wizard had given him. He had the potion of invisibility, the potion of speed, and the potion of forgetfulness. Which potion should Martin drink, and which door should he choose? His best option is to drink the potion of speed and dash through the fire so it doesn't really hurt him. Detective Brown rushed to an expensive restaurant. Someone had stolen a gold spoon there. If the detective didn't find the real culprit, the waiter would have big problems. Luckily, there were still a lot of people in the restaurant, and Detective Brown questioned the main suspects. A group of friends said they were celebrating a birthday. They wouldn't spoil their party this way. A cheerful man said he'd just been wandering about and had dropped by to check out this place. And a weird-looking guy answered that his wife had left him, and he had come to the restaurant to take his mind off his problems. Can you help the detective find the criminal? The second man lied. He said he had been to this restaurant for the first time. But look, he's wearing a hat with the restaurant's logo. Gotcha. Look at these 3 people who seem to be having fun. They're hanging on a tree, but one of them is a ghost. Can you guess who it is? The woman on the left has just rolled her eyes. That's why she looks so creepy. The guy in the middle is wearing a mask. But unlike the others, the hair of the lady on the left ignores gravity. She must be the ghost. Brave warrior Richard set off on an adventure together with his 2 assistants. Once he came across a kingdom where a princess was locked in a high tower. Richard decided to save her and, who knows, maybe even marry her later. First things first, he went to the king, but the ruler didn't give the warrior any hints. Luckily, Richard's assistants found a secret map, but they weren't bright enough to figure out what it meant and which window of which castle Richard needed to climb into to save the princess. Can you help them? First, we need to determine which castle is the right one. Aha, here it is. Just look at its windows. Now, we just need to follow the arrows and find the correct window. Yep, that's right. A very large truck needs to cross a 20-mile-long bridge. Unfortunately, the bridge can only hold a weight of 10,000 pounds. Even a single extra pound will make the bridge collapse. Luckily, the weight of the truck is exactly 10,000 pounds. The driver moves the car carefully and crosses almost 85% of the distance of the bridge. He stops to get a small break when suddenly a bird lands on the truck. What's going to happen now? Is the bridge going to collapse? The bridge won't collapse. The truck has already traveled 85% of the total distance and has used some gas, so the extra weight of the bird doesn't add any extra load to the bridge. There is a boat with a ladder attached to it. This ladder is 8 feet long. If the water rises 4 feet, how much of the ladder will remain over the surface of the water? Still 8 feet. The rising water will lift the boat, and the ladder is attached to the vessel. Ruth had just moved into a new house and was busy with boxes. Meanwhile, while she was distracted, someone took her laptop. The girl went over to her new neighbors, hoping that one of them had seen something. Eric told her that he had been staying at home with a fever the whole day. Emma said she didn't even know a new neighbor was coming. And Jonathan said he just got home from his office. Who took Ruth's laptop? Look at Jonathan's car. It's covered with a thick layer of snow. The man lied. He hadn't been to work. One wizard catches people and then makes them choose between 2 doors. Behind one of them, there's an unfriendly, to put it mildly, dragon. And behind the other, there's a chest filled with gold. The ones who pick the right door become rich and are allowed to leave the castle. But if it's the wrong door, well, the outcome is much more tragic. There are 2 signs on the doors. One lies and the other is truthful. On the first door, it's written, "The treasure is here. The dragon is in the next room." The other sign says, "The treasure and the dragon aren't in the same room." Where's the gold? The chest with the treasure is in the second room. The second statement is true, which means the first one is false. Can you find all the emojis hidden in this picture? So how many have you spotted? There are actually 5 emojis here. Have a look. What about this picture? How many emojis can you spot here? Look at that, 6 emojis. Have you found all of them? A man is thinking about how fast his life is flying by. The day before yesterday, I was 34, and next year I'll be 37. The man hasn't made any mistakes in his calculations. Can you guess what day his birthday is? The man's birthday is on December 31st. He's thinking about it on January 1st. The day before his birthday, he was 34. The next day, he turned 35. A new year started the next day, and that year, he's going to turn 36. And he will be 37 the following year. Ooh, look at this! A car has crashed into a restaurant window, smashing it. Detective Harris has come to investigate the case. There are 2 suspects, Julie and Douglas, but each of them claims that the other person did it. Can you help the detective figure out who's lying? It's Julie. The tire tracks on the ground belong to her car. Look at these 3 men. They're at the airport. Can you figure out which of these guys is married? All these men are holding their passports and tickets in their hands. None of them is wearing a wedding ring. But if you pay attention to the man sitting on the bench, you'll notice that on his ticket, it's written family discount. So he must be the one who's married.
Jill and Jim live in the US. One day, Jim goes on a business trip to Europe. Jill misses him very much, so she calls him up. She asks Jim to take a selfie and send it to her. He agrees. Jill gets furious as soon as she sees the picture. Jill: "You're a liar." How did Jill figure it out? Europe and the US are in different time zones. But in Jim's photo, it's noon. That's American time. He never left the country. Can you find a zombie in this picture? Over here. What about this ski resort? Can you spot any zombies? Hello? And now let's see if you can find a zombie in this amusement park. It's hiding over here. The biggest bank in town was robbed last night. The local police investigate this case and find 2 suspects. They go to search their houses. The officer sees a clue and figures out who the criminal is. How did he guess? Let's take a look at the walls. There's the same picture in both houses. But this one is hanging upside down. There's probably a stash behind it. Busted. A teacher has 21 colored pencils. 7 red, 7 yellow, and 7 blue. She needs to divide them into 2 piles so that one pile would have 3 times fewer red pencils than the second one. And the second pile should have 2 times fewer yellow pencils compared to the first pile. How many blue pens would be in each pile? Zero. The teacher had 21 pencils, not pens. Can you rearrange these crayons and make 4 triangles? To solve this mystery, you gotta think outside the box. Here's the correct answer. Let's make the task a little harder. Can you remove just 2 crayons to make 2 squares? Ready to see the result? There you go. Donna goes to a supermarket and spots something weird. 2 of these women are pregnant, but one of them just stole a watermelon. Can you guess who? It's the third lady. She's wearing high heels, not what pregnant women would wear to a grocery store. Kitty wakes up in a creepy basement. She needs to open this door to escape. Can you guess the right order to press the buttons? Kitty needs to make the word unlock from the first letters of each emoji. Therefore, she should press the buttons in the following order: unicorn, nose, lobster, onion, cactus, kiss, and voila. Today is Cassie's birthday. She brings a cake to work to celebrate with her colleagues, Stan, Gemma, and Rosie. Cassie unpacks the cake in the office kitchen. Suddenly, Granny calls, and Cassie goes outside to talk to her. After a while, Cassie returns and finds her precious birthday cake on the floor. She questions everyone. Stan says, "I was sending an important email, so I didn't look at the kitchen. But I think it was Gemma. She's just pretending to be your friend." Gemma says, "I went to the toilet to wash my hands. When I returned, the cake was already on the floor." And Rosie says, "I don't know what happened. I went to the opposite side of the room to turn on the coffee machine. I made cappuccino for everyone." Who's lying? The coffee machine is off, and all the coffee mugs are empty. Therefore, Rosie lied. She was busy doing something else while Cassie was away. Detective Bold is having lunch at his favorite cafe. He looks through the window and sees his neighbor Zelda rushing home. They both live next to the cafe. Suddenly, Zelda runs back and approaches the detective. Zelda: "Please help me. My apartment was robbed while I was out. I didn't touch anything. I just ran here right away to find you." Detective Bold goes to see the crime scene. He looks around and says, "Stop fooling around, Zelda. There was no robbery." How did he know? Take a look at this umbrella. Zelda carried it with her when she was rushing home, but she told the detective that she didn't touch anything at the crime scene. She just threw her stuff around the room to make it look like a robbery. Take a look at this fancy group of people. One of them is a real vampire. Can you guess who? It's the second guy. The first guy struggles with drinking this reddish beverage. The lady is just wearing a cosplay costume. And the guy on the right is taking a selfie, which means he shows up on camera. Therefore, he's a human being. Jeff calls the police early in the morning. Jeff: "My neighbor cut down a tree on my car." A policeman arrives soon. Policeman: "What happened?" Jeff: "My neighbor and I had a quarrel last night. When I was ready to go to bed, I saw him standing in front of my car. In the morning, I went out to drive to work and saw this. My car is pretty old, but he still has to pay compensation for the damage." The policeman questions Jeff's neighbor. He says, "Jeff is a bit weird. He's always trying to start a quarrel for no reason. I didn't touch the car. I was sleeping all night long." The policeman examines the car and immediately realizes which of the neighbors was lying. Who cut the tree down? Can you guess? Jeff. He cut down the tree with this axe and then tried to put the blame on his neighbor to hit him up for money. Mike is an astronaut. His team consists of 2 other people. They're twins, Rob and Bob. They go to Mars for a month to study the local life forms. Time flies by quickly, and today they have to return to Earth. Mike goes to say hi to his little crew, but he finds 6 identical people in the spaceship. Mike realizes that the Martians can take any shape. Whom should he take back to Earth? This astronaut has 3 fingers. This guy's hair color is different. This imposter has forgotten to put on human ears. And this guy has different eye color. So the real Bob and Rob are over here. What's wrong here? The goalkeeper is holding a tennis racket. Also, why do they need 2 hockey pucks? Shelly downloads a dating app hoping to find new love. She likes several guys. They begin to chat and share some selfies. All 3 guys claim to be single and living alone, but only one of them is telling the truth. Can you guess who? The first guy sent Shelly a selfie from his bathroom. He's wearing a bathrobe, but there's another silk bathrobe hanging in the background. It's pink and small. Why would he need it if he's living alone? And the second guy is obviously fond of jewelry. He's wearing a ring on each finger, including the ring finger. So he's probably married. Only the third guy is telling the truth. And Shelly should give him a chance. A dangerous criminal escapes from prison. The police are chasing him, and the trail leads them into a small village. They question the locals and check the fields. Soon they see a farmer in a cornfield. The detective asks him if he had seen any suspicious strangers around. Farmer: "Sorry, I didn't focus on what's going on around me. I was too busy dealing with my corn. It's getting dark soon, and I need to harvest as soon as possible." The detective immediately figures out that this guy is the wanted runaway criminal. How? Corn is not harvested like this, so he can't be a real farmer. Can you see any odd details here? The phone is unplugged, and the laptop is missing a keyboard. Can you spot anything odd? Take a look at this guy. His fishing style is pretty weird. What about this scene? What are they doing wrong? This lady is skating on the pavement.
It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Bob was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the messages: 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said: 1. Don't take the pill from the first envelope. 2. Take the pill from the third envelope. And the last envelope said: 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the first envelope. Well, which capsule should Bob take? He should trust the pill from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. Timothy and Diana were strolling in a magic forest together when they ran into an evil witch. The witch captured Diana and took her to a haunted castle. Timothy managed to find the hidden castle and watched as the witch turned Diana into a frog. When the witch left the room, he snuck inside to turn Diana back into human form. He found a spell book that could help him and found out the recipe for the magic potion he had to make. He recognized most of the ingredients, but the last 2 were encrypted. Take a look at the witch's ingredient cabinet and try to help Timothy discover the last 2 ingredients he needs to make the magic potion. You got it! That's exactly what he needs. The day started busy in Fabertown. The police station got a call saying an undercover vampire was passing as a teacher at Middle Moon Elementary School. The officer went down there to check and found 3 possible suspects. Take a look at them and see if you can guess who the vampire is. It's the one in the middle. She's wearing sunglasses inside the cafeteria and drinking a very suspicious red drink. Yikes! Eric was coming home from a night out. As he reached the gate of his apartment, he heard the sound of someone bawling. He looked around, but no one was there. That's when he noticed something that scared him, and he shouted, "Ghosts! Ghosts! Someone help me!" Look at the image. Can you identify what Eric saw that scared him so much? The gate lamp isn't attached to the pole. It's floating in the air and somehow still shining bright. Well, this isn't right. Then Eric called his best friend, who also happened to be a renowned ghost hunter. That's convenient. His buddy Ray arrives, and his ghost watch immediately starts beeping. It leads them to the building's pool. At the pool, they see a girl swimming. Eric shouts, "Hey, why are you swimming in the pool so late at night? Here, let me help you get out." But Ray stops him, saying, "Don't do that." Why did Ray do it? Look at the pool. The girl is swimming, but there is no movement in the water. She must be a ghost. On the other side of town, Bobby is also ghost hunting. He called his friend Susan to visit the town's old creepy hotel and bust some ghosts. As they arrive, they find clear signs of ghost activity. It looked like that ghost had a sense of humor, though, and wanted to play hide and seek with them. The ghost led Bobby and Susan into a room with 4 doors. Each door had an inscription on it with clues to where the ghost might be hiding. The sign on door A says, "It's behind B or C." The sign behind door B says, "It's behind A or D." Door C says, "It's in here." And door D claims, "The ghost isn't here." Bobby and Susan looked very confused until a note appeared next to their feet saying, "3 of the inscriptions are false and 1 is true." Can you guess which door led to the ghost? Let's see how this would work. If the ghost was behind door A, then both B and D would be true. But if it was behind door B, then both A and D would be true. If the ghost was behind door C, then A, C, and D are all true. But if the ghost was behind door D, then the statements on all the other doors were false, except for that on door B. This matched the rules, so it was behind door D. To get into the best Halloween party in town, Becky had to solve a difficult riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. By the time the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And by the time the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand in the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there's 1 minute's worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Whew, that took some work. Jessica was on a trip to the desert when she got separated from her group. She noticed a sandstorm was coming her way. She had 3 options for what to do. She could try to run away from the sandstorm, she could hide behind a big rock, or she could try hiding in the desert's dry riverbed. Which one is Jessica's best option? Well, the first option is a terrible idea, as she will never run faster than a sandstorm. The riverbed is also not such a good idea, as it's too low, and the sand from the storm can fill the entire hole in no time. Her best option would be to hide behind a big rock. After the storm passed, Jessica used the radio to send an SOS signal to the guide. The guide told her to sit tight. A rescue team would shortly be on its way to help her. In a few hours, 3 rescue teams came to help Jessica. She got suspicious and asked all the teams who had sent them. The first team said that they had heard the news on the radio that a woman was lost in the desert and came quickly to aid her. The second team said that the hotel she was staying in called the police for help. The last team said they received a radio call saying a woman was in distress and quickly came to help. Which rescue team should she trust? The last team. Jessica sent a message to her guide as soon as the storm was over, remember?